What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Bit of Footy YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be running through my round 7 Anzac round tips for the 2025 AFL Premiership season. Now, before we do that, let's take a look and see how I did back in round number 6. As you can see here in round number 6, I got a total of 3. Yes, 3 out of 9 tips correct. The only tips I got correct were the Collingwood tip, the Bombers tip, and the Western Bulldogs tip. Every other tip I did in fact get incorrect. And that currently has me in second last in my own tipping competition. Yep, I'm right down here and I'm on a total score of 31 points in total. In first spot, we've got Mr. Ray White, who got 6 out of 9 tips last round and is on a total score of 39 points. So fair play to Mr. Ray White, I guess. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into my tips for round number 7, Anzac round of the 2025 AFL Premiership season. Alright, I've actually got to enter my tips in as well, so this is handy that I'm making this video before I forget. Alright, we kick things off tonight at the MCG. It's the Anzac Day Eve game. We've got Melbourne taking on Richmond. Melbourne are coming off a win over the Dockers. The Tigers, they're coming off their second win of the season, and it was against the Gold Coast Suns. Should be an okay game, this one. I am going to be tipping Melbourne in this one by a margin of 21 points. I don't see this being like a high scoring affair. I feel like it's going to be like a mid scoring game. Noah Bolter being out for the Tigers is a big loss for them. He was arguably their best player last weekend against the Suns. And, you know, the D's there, I think they've gained back Stephen May. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm going to go the D's in this one by a margin of 21 points. I reckon they've gained a lot of confidence from their first win of the season, which was against the Dockers last round. And yeah, I feel like they're going to bring that confidence into this game against the Tigers and win it by a margin of 21 points. Then we move on to Anzac Day. We've got 2 games on the Anzac Day, and we kick it off with the traditional game between Collingwood and Essendon Magpies. They are coming off a big win, a 52-point win over the Lions. The Bombers, they are coming off a thrilling 2-point win over the Eagles. I think this should be an absolute beauty, this game. You know, the Bombers, they always seem to play well against us, no matter the occasion. It doesn't even have to be Anzac Day, but especially on Anzac Day, they play very well against us. They're always competitive. I'm still gonna back in Magpies to get the job done in this one, and I'm gonna go Magpies by a margin of 23 points. I don't think we're gonna blow the Bombers out of the water because, like I said before, they're always competitive against us. So yeah, I'm gonna be backing us in by a margin of 23 points over the Bombers. Then we move on to the second Anzac Day game. It's at Optus Stadium, and it's between Freo and the Crows. Freo, they're coming off that disappointing loss to the hands of the D's. The Crows, they're coming off a win over the GWS Giants. Should be a decent game, this one. You know, the Dockers, they'll want to bounce back after that disappointing loss against the D's. And the Crows, they're coming off a big win, opponent-wise, over the Giants. So yeah, should be a decent game. I'm actually going to be tipping the Crows in this one. I just feel like from what I've seen from both sides, the Crows have been a little bit more dangerous than the Dockers have this season, especially in their forward 50. So yeah, I feel like the Crows are going to get the job done in this one by a margin of 16 points over the Dockers. Then we move on to the Saturday games. We'll kick things off at Marvel Stadium. We've got the Saints taking on the Lions. The Saints, they're coming off a big loss against the Dogs. The Lions, they're coming off a big loss as well against Magpies. I'm going to be tipping the Lions in this one to get the job done by a margin of 31 points. I feel like the Saints, I don't know what happened. They started well against the Dogs and then they absolutely got dismantled after that. And I feel like, you know, they could get dismantled here, but, you know, maybe not, but I still feel like the Lions are just going to be a little bit too good for them on the day. Bounce back from that big loss against Magpies and get the job done here. So yeah, I'm backing in the Lions over the Saints by a margin of 31 points. Then we move on to the twilight game. We've got Port Adelaide taking on North Melbourne. Port Adelaide are coming off an 8-point win over the Swans. North Melbourne are coming off a big loss margin-wise against the Blues. I'm going to be tipping Port Adelaide in this one by a margin of 42 points. I feel like North Melbourne, besides that win against the Demons, they've just been disappointing for the majority of the season, and they're just not playing that great of footy at the moment. Whereas Port Adelaide, they're in some decent form. They've won 2 games in a row against the likes of Hawthorn and Sydney. So yeah, they're going to take a lot of confidence from that, and they should be winning this game. So yeah, I feel like they're going to do it easily by a margin of 42 points over North Melbourne. Then we move on to the last game of the Saturday, and it should be a ripper. It is between the Giants and the Dogs. The Giants, they're coming off an 18-point loss to the hands of the Crows. The Dogs, they're coming off a big win against the Saints. Should be a beauty, this one. These two are basically rivals. Now we all know that. So yeah, it should make for a good contest. I'm going to be tipping the Giants in this one by a margin of only 8 points. I do feel like this is going to be the closest, well, one of the closest games of the weekend. You know, the Giants, they'll want to bounce back from that disappointing loss against the Crows. They didn't play that well against the Crows. I know it was raining. Well, not raining. Well, it was raining. I know it was raining. The weather wasn't that great, but still, I feel like the Giants, they should have won that game against the Crows. They really should have won that game. I know they didn't have Jesse Hogan, but, you know, sometimes you're not going to have your best player in the team, and you just have to deal with it. And I feel like they just didn't deal with it that well, and a lot of their players that should have stood up didn't stand up. So yeah, I feel like they'll just want to make up for what happened last week against the Crows, that loss that they picked up against the Crows. So yeah, I'm going to be backing in the Giants in this one by a margin of 8 points. I do feel like the Dogs are going to be very competitive. They have been very competitive in all their games this season, and now that they've got the bot back, who knows, they could win this one, but I just feel like the Giants will be a little bit too good in the end for the Dogs. Then we move on to the Sunday games. We kick it off at People First Stadium, 1:15 p.m. We've got the Suns taking on the Swans at People First Stadium. The Suns, they're coming off a disappointing loss to the hands of the Tigers. The Swans, they're coming off a loss to the hands of the Power. So both teams coming into this game off the back of losses. That's not normally what happens when these two face each other, but it has now. I'm going to be backing in the Suns in this one by a margin of 13 points. I do feel like this is going to be a really good contested game of footy. I feel like the Swans are going to really take it up to the Suns in this one. You know, it's been a while since the Suns have lost at home. Well, it feels like it has been a while since they've lost at home. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Swans were to win this game. You know, they would have been disappointed with how they played against the Power last round and want to, you know, get back into the groove of things this season. But I feel like the Suns, they'll just be a little bit too good. They've been playing a little bit better than the Swans have this season. So I'm going to be backing in the Suns in this one by a margin of 13 points. And then we move on to what should be another ripping game this round. We've got Carlton taking on the Cats at the MCG. Carlton are coming off a big win margin-wise against North Melbourne. The Cats, they're coming off a thrilling 7-point win over the Hawks on Easter Monday. I am going to be tipping the Cats in this one only because they seem to have the Blues number no matter the venue as well. They can beat the Blues at the MCG, at the Cattery, wherever, at Marvel Stadium. And yeah, they just seem to have the Blues number. They can win at the MCG whenever. And yeah, I just feel like they're going to get the job done in this one. I do think it's going to be a close one though. I feel like the Blues are going to really take it up to the Cats in this one. So I'm only tipping the Cats in this one by a margin of 5 points over the Blues. And then we've got the last game of the round. It is Hawthorn taking on the Eagles. I don't really feel like I have to say much about this game. Hawthorn, they are coming off a 7-point loss against the Cats. The Eagles, they're coming off a 2-point loss, only a 2-point loss against the Bombers. But I feel like the Eagles are going to get blown out the water in this game. I feel like the Hawks, you know, they've lost 2 games in a row, so they'll want to be getting back on the winners list now. So yeah, I'm going to be backing in the Hawks in this one by a margin of 51 points over the Eagles. Hopefully that isn't the case. Hopefully the Eagles can make the game somewhat competitive to finish this round 7 of footy, but I just can't see it happening. So yeah, I'm going to go the Hawks in this one by a margin of 51 points. And those are my tips done and dusted for this round 7 Anzac round of footy. hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you've got time tonight, I'll be doing a live reaction of the Melbourne versus Richmond game, so if you want to drop in, feel free to do so. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you for another video very soon. Cheers.